Mom gets kicked off plane after flight attendants see what she's wearing.
But before we start, please make sure to subscribe to m&rtv and hit the bell so you never miss any upload from us. Also, leave a like right now.
A full-time makeup artist and mother of two, Harriet Osborne, a 31-year-old from London, England, had a lot on her plate and she deserved a vacation. However, even the best-laid plans go awry, and this is exactly what happened to poor Harriet when a baffling interaction with airline officials threatened to ruin her entire trip. All she wanted was an explanation, but it was complicated. After her friends pleaded with her to take some time off from her busy schedule, Harriet finally relented. She agreed to go on a short vacation with them to Malaga in Costa del Sol, a seaside community in the south of Spain. Harriet and her pals were excited for their getaway, which promised to be sunny and warm, unlike the dreary gray weather they were used to. And while Harriet loved her children dearly, she was aching for some time to herself. The Londoners made the most of their few days in the country, doing touristy activities like sightseeing, swimming, and of course, shopping. On Harriet's last day, she and her girlfriends went on what was supposed to be a fun-filled shopping spree. They couldn't have anticipated the damage it would ultimately do. The group was strolling through Spanish streets, admiring the colorful window displays at the various stores, when Harriet saw a piece that caught her eye. In the entrance of a small shop called El Corte Inglés was a shirt that looked absolutely adorable. The young mom just had to go inside. She walked right up to the clerk and immediately inquired about the price of the beautiful garment. It was slightly sheer, a style that Harriet usually veered away from, but this blouse just looked so perfect. Then she saw the price tag and recoiled. Harriet sadly admitted that the item, while gorgeous, was simply too far out of her budget to purchase. Still, her friends encouraged her to at least try it on before making her decision. When she looked at herself in the mirror, Harriet was totally starstruck. She couldn't remember ever having worn a shirt that was so naturally flattering on her. So in the spirit of her vacation and at the insistence of her pals, the 31-year-old decided to splurge on the expensive garment, a decision she would soon regret. Before they knew it, it was time to head back to the hotel and pack their things. While filling her suitcase, however, Harriet was overcome with remorse. She knew she shouldn't have bought the shirt. It was just too pricey. And when could she even wear it during London's long, cold seasons? To help put her disappointments aside, she decided she would at least wear the dress on her return flight home. Who knew when her next opportunity would be? So luggage in hand, Harriet showed up at the airport. After making it through security, she excitedly sidled up to her gate. She was almost home. As she was boarding, the stewardess stood by the doors giving each passenger a welcoming greeting as they stepped onto the flight. When Harriet passed, however, she raised her eyebrows and didn't say anything to the young mom. While this was rather odd, Harriet shrugged it off and filed down the row to her seat. She settled in on the flight, but the flight attendants were all crowded together, whispering. What made things even more concerning to Harriet was that they seemed to be glancing directly at her. As the time stretched on, the passengers grew weary. What was the holdup? Then Harriet watched as the same stewardess who had ignored her before walked straight down the aisle toward her, stopping right next to her seat. "You're not welcome on my plane like that. You need to put a top on," the flight attendant said. Harriet was completely blindsided. At first she thought she must have misheard her. What could possibly be the issue with her shirt? Sure, it was slightly sheer and exposed a lot of cleavage, but she'd taped it down that morning just to be extra modest. Before she could even realize what was happening, the stewardess was attempting to cover Harriet up with her hands. The startled passenger, recovering from the shock of being singled out in such a harsh manner, questioned the airline employee as to why she in particular was being treated in this manner. The woman simply responded that multiple customers had made complaints about her dress. Harriet didn't believe this for a second. Despite the absurdity of the information being fed to her, Harriet relented. If giving in to this woman's strange demands meant getting home to her children, she would do it. She stepped off the plane to change into a sweater. This would make everybody happy, right? Wrong. When she boarded the plane for what she hoped would be the last time, donning her more appropriate sweater, she could feel the stares of passengers on her. While she was humiliated, she couldn't blame them. The scene that had just unfolded was truly bizarre. No one, least of all Harriet, knew it was about to get even worse. As the problem stewardess passed by her seat, Harriet couldn't help herself. She gave the woman a piece of her mind, informing the attendant that her behavior was unwarranted, and that it had made her, a passenger, feel both disrespected and publicly shamed. The attendant merely flashed her a look of shock and retreated quickly to the other employees. Harriet would soon be in for the biggest shock yet. The stewardess returned to her seat after what seemed like hours and dropped a major bombshell. The young mother would have to leave the flight entirely. Shocked and close to tears, Harriet left the plane. This wouldn't be the end of her troubles because she'd splurged on so much of the trip she couldn't afford a last-minute hotel and was forced to sleep on the cold, hard floor of the terminal. The next day she boarded her flight without any trouble, but she was determined to have the last word on this subject. Upon touching down in London, Harriet got straight to work phoning various news outlets about her traumatizing ordeal. Almost overnight, her story had gotten so much traction that it was being discussed worldwide. A rational person might expect a company on the receiving end of so much bad PR to cut their losses and apologize, right? Let's just say EasyJet didn't take the high road. Instead, they doubled down, implicating Harriet. Still, nobody enjoys the stress of flying, but some airlines are at least making efforts to make flyers feel more at home.